Okay, it's 12 o'clock sharp, so let's get started. So everyone, welcome to our first meeting of 2026 and Happy New Year, everyone. Hi, Mui. Is that Mui?
Hey, Happy New
Hi,
Year.
Mui. Are you still playing the bowling now? No?
Yeah,
Are
it's
you?
Wednesday, so
Oh, okay.
Wednesdays are always bowling nights now.
Oh,
I'm on
yeah,
a
I
league.
see that.
Yeah, so
Cool,
I'm on a bowling league. So yes.
cool. Then with Mui playing bowling, we're gonna do 8-hour call as usual. So we are going to have three topics to cover today, which is the OHDSI news and OHDSI selected studies from Taiwan, mainly focused on TMU team. And after that, like Nicole will propose a brief direction and initiatives about 2026 APEC study. Okay, about the news. So I mentioned that OHDSI Europe Symposium is already open. So anyone who is interested in Europe Symposium 2026, the abstract submission is already on, but however, the registrations are not still open yet, so stay tuned. And about the global symposium, we have the date is confirmed October 20th to 22nd. The plenaries and tutorials are now open again, and whoever interested in showcasing, please register too. And it's another exciting piece of news. The OHDSI Latin America 2026 will be held for the first time. I've only had a chance to to check the website so far, but the dates and the location seems to be confirmed. So it's in Brazil, Salvador Bahia. I'm not sure I pronounce it correctly, but yeah, it'll be here in the Brazil, and I've never been to Brazil before or any Latin America countries, but so kind of excited. So if anyone are interested, and I encourage you guys to participate since I don't think I could join. And please come back and share your experience to us. So since we begin 2026, I like to briefly reflect the OHDSI's mission. So OHDSI's mission is to improve health by empowering the community to collaboratively generate the evidence that promotes better health decision and a better healthcare. So guided by this mission, 2025 OHDSI APAC actually did a lot of things. So we had among a lot of efforts. So we finished and we continued and finished 2024 APAC studies, GLP-1 early. And we also conducted three new network studies supported by APAC and led by China team. So the efforts are going on and to make a progress. So anyone who are still interested in um, China studies, please contact the study list. And there are still on the teams and part of the Peking University. I'm sure I saw Xia Wei is here, so she is also part of that study. So you can contact her or Yongqi. And we also have Aiden launched in Australia, and I'm sure Nicole is the has a charge of that project. And also we have a lot of mapping or ETL project going on, but we the Book of Odyssey, the Japanese version, is published too. And do you guys? I'm not sure you guys realize that the movie Odyssey, the one that the Christopher Nolan's new film is about to release this year, on July. And so the story is about the 10-year journey going back home. So again, it remind me again that the meaning of behind the Odyssey. So Odysseus faced the Cyclops and Sirens, and we face the data Celios and harmonizing challenging every time. But like just like him, we're not sailing alone. So we have like this amazing community and navigating together, like for the better health decisions and the better healthcare. So I saw that like I was thinking to say this in the community call next year, but I saw that Patrick already said it in the this week's community call at the global. So I was kind of like, okay, jinx. um, Anyway, so and the whole Odyssey journey for 2026 is already began. And as a part of the journey, 2026 APAC Symposium will be held in Korea in Yonsei University. We have a tentative date of November 13 to 15, but I'm pretty sure it's confirmed, right? Uh, so, so it'll be right after the AMIA. So please check your schedules and start planning ahead, please. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. I just kind of give a little kickoff for the 2026 first community call. Anyway, so and the whole Odyssey journey, to start with the Odyssey journey, we have a main agenda. We have selected studies from Odyssey Taiwan, which is mainly the TMU team. TMU team has been like demonstrating their hard work to the community for a long time, and I'm very happy to have Fook and Winnie and Rosie. I just made a queue by myself, so um, it'll be okay. If you guys okay, I can just the manage the presentation from my side, or if you guys prefer anyway, like anything, just tell me. Like Fook,
That's fine. You can say
yeah,
from your side. Yeah.
okay, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it for you. Okay, so Fook, whenever you're ready, I can help you.
Yes. Okay, let me begin first. So I have a
Hmm.
7 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Chivon. Thank you, Chivon, for a very interesting information about our APAC community in year 2036. And I thank you for let us have the time to share our study from Team U. So let me share. One of our study is more likely about the characterization and utilization on the treatment pattern. The first study is about the treatment with the anti-diabetes patient with the T2 DM patient and CKD patient. Next, please. So I have the content have four parts of this study. For the background, for the clinical challenge, CKD is one of the frequent complications of the type 2 diabetes. And the therapeutic goal is to optimal the glycemic control. And it's very essential to slow the CKD progression. Recent anti-diabetes medication like SGLT2 inhibitors, GLP-1RAs, or DPP-4 inhibitors, they also offer the potential renal protective benefits. So our aim to characterize the real-world prescribing patterns, the demographic, and the comorbidities in patients initiating these medication. Next, please. For the methods, we utilize the data from the Team U Clinical Research Database, which is mapped into the MOP-CDM. And this is the retrospective cohort study. And we collect the data from January 2012 to December 2022. And we define like 6 cohorts initiated with 6 times, 6 class of the anti-diabetes medication, including the SGLT2 inhibitors, the GLP-1RAs, the DB4 inhibitors, SU, insulin, and metformin. Next, please. For the outcome, we define 2 types of the outcome. The first outcome is the discontinuation of the medication, which is we define as a gap over 90 days following the index therapy prescription. And the second outcome is about the treatment switch. And we define the treatment switch as a new non-index prescription issued within 30 days of the discontinuation. So switching to a drug within the same class is not considered a switch. For the covariates, we assess the baseline information 1 year prior to the index date, and we follow up for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, and 2 years after the index date. And we use the demographic, the comorbid condition, and the co-medications, which is well mapped to the MAPCDM database to do the analysis. Next, please. And you can see on the screen the result of our population. I'm sorry, this, sorry, sir. I'm sorry, this is missing the table of the cohort count. So for the cohort count of this study, we have around like, for the DB4 patient, we have around like 7,000 patients. And for the metformin, we have a 3,000, SGLT2 is about 4,000, and following by the insulin, the metformin, and the SU. So it can show that like the DB4, the SGLT2, they account for the renal function protective concerns. And metformin is also aligned with the clinical guidelines, which is the first line in the first line therapy for the patient who have the comorbidity between the T2DMs and the CKD. And for the age group, most of the patients, they range from 55 to 80. And for the big information is the patient who range from 65 to 75 is also replaced the elder patient in the Taiwan population. Next, please. And this is the Sankey plot that show the treatment pattern of 6 different types of anti-diabetes patient. So for the first plot is metformin, which is account for the first line therapy, and because like the characteristic of the population is the core condition between diabetes and CKD. So there are like several switch between the metformin to the other lines of the therapy, and of the most complex treatment pattern is a DB4 and insulin due to the concerns of the renal failure, the renal function protective. And for the SGLT2 and GLP, it shows us quite stable, and like the direct indications for the patient who had the diabetes with the CKD. Next, please. This is the diagram show the post-index medication use, and we can see for the metformin, I show like there's the combination therapies across the multiple pathways, and with the clinical guideline, which is the metformin is the first line therapy in CKD, and they have the decline in the time window, why the patient need to have like more indication to protect the renal function, and also show the same pattern, the same for inhibitors. Next, please. So for the conclusion, we can see that like the treatment pattern, they show the T2DM and the CKD management, they help to balance the glycemic control with the renal function preservation. And they solve the evidence-based algorithm and the trends and the pathway data can show a shift toward the renally safe cardiorenal protective agents. And it also require more evidence-driven prescribing for the high-risk population. So that's about my first study. Can you move next to the second study? So I guess the second study is also about the characterization of the CKD patient with the burden of heart failure. We also get the evidence from the team UCRD. Next, please. So heart failure is one of the most common complication in the CKD patient, and it also leads to the higher mortality, and it also like increase the healthcare resource utilization cost. And there are some for the heart failure in CKD management. So our aim is to characterize the demographics and the clinical profiles of the CKD patient with and without heart failure. Next, please. For the methods, we also set up is the retrospective cohort study and using the team UCRD database map to the almost CDA. And for the cohort definition, we have two cohorts exclusive, which is a CKD with diagnostic with heart failure within 1 year pre-index and the CKD without the heart failure diagnostic in the same window. For the clinical outcome, we define first is the heart failure hospitalization. Second is the acute myocardial infarction. Third is about the stroke. And fourth is the end-stage kidney disease progression, which is defined as eGFR level under 15 with hemodialysis and transplantation. And we use the OHDSI tools to do the analysis. Next, please. And for the result, for our target cohort characteristic, you can see that like we have the about the CKD patient, which is account for nearly 50,000 patients, and about 60% of the patient they have the heart failure. And yes, the table show the statistic of the outcome, mentioned outcome patient. Next, please. And for the incident analysis of 1,000 patients per year, this is 1,000 patients. Sorry, the missing typo is 100 patients. We have the major cardiovascular and the renal outcome to compare between the patient with and without heart failure. We may see that like the patient with the heart failure, they have like much higher complication in the CVD disease and the kidney disease, higher than the patient with the heart failure, and also stratified for the CKD patient in the type 2 diabetes population. Next, please. And so for the conclusion, we can see that like the CKD patient with the heart failure, they encounter a higher cardio-renal complication burden to compare with the CKD without the heart failure. And the risk is like likely amplified by the diabetes patient. So despite the new therapy, the CKD heart failure patient, they still remain undertreated and receive fewer target agents that can help to slow the renal decline and improve the CVD outcome. So there's a need to optimize the pharmacologic management and the current treatment pattern to address the unmet in this high-risk group. So that's about our two study of the characterization. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. There was a question from the floor that Chan asked you, how did you define CKD? Like, can you answer about that question, please?
In the CKD, we define the CKD by the ICD code together with the eGFR. Let me check with the eGFR level. So we use the diagnosis code and we use the lab test to define the CKD patient, following the PEDIGO guidelines.
Is that answer to your question?
Thank you for clarification, because chronic kidney disease is one of the diseases which is highly underdiagnosed, or how can I say, doctors that usually did not enter that ICD category to say, defining the CKD based on eGFR would be much more accurate. So that's my point. And yeah, it was really impressive study. Thank you.
Thank you, Chan.
Thank you, Folk and Chan, for the question and answer. And so let's move on to the next presentation, which will be Rosie. Is that Winnie's turn, or I'm not sure?
Yes.
Okay,
Hello,
Winnie.
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, good morning, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to share our preliminary results. So, on behalf of the team today, I will present our pre-evaluation results on the suitability of TMU medical database to be included into an OHDSI network study. Next, please. Next. Yes, thank you. So, as we know, clinical guidelines are typically built upon randomized controlled trial results. However, the randomized controlled trials does not always capture the complexity and diversity in the real world, which sometimes results in lower effectiveness or hard to follow guidelines. So, next, please. The RTC Global Data Evaluation Team has initiated a network study using observational data to explore how the real-world evidence can be systematically included into the guideline development, and which cover a broad range of disease, and particularly in this study, they focuses on metastatic bladder cancer as a case example. Next, please. So this RC study has partners from 14 countries contributing their results, including the US, UK, several countries from the European and Asia. And so Taiwan, particularly TMU, is one of its partners. And by joining this network, TMU is hoping to contribute to this mission to improve the health outcomes. So our data is obtained from the 3 TMU affiliated hospital database, which is known as TMU Clinical Research Database. To make sure it's suitable for this study, we carry out 2 specific tasks. First, we assess the TMU database quality using the Global Data Evaluation Tool. And second, we compare the Taiwan local guideline for bladder cancer with common international guidelines. So in the following slides, I will share our findings for these 2 tasks. Next, please. So first, for database quality assessment, we found that the TMU database has medical records of more than 4 million patients, in which nearly 3,000 records are related to cancer. And so, as we can see from this figure, the database contains records for a wide variety of cancer, and bladder cancer is the 7th most frequent type and is somewhere in the purple range. So we have a data for a targeting disease. Next, please. And so in this figure, they provide a comparative visualization of how the TMU data profile aligns with all the international data partners in this network. So each dot represents a partner of the network, and the color of the dot indicates whether that partner's data is more dominating in like condition, which is diagnosis, measurements, like lab results, or drugs like prescription therapies, or balance distribution across domains. So here we see the TMU is represented by a light blue dot, indicated is our data is well balanced and contain a comprehensive mix of both condition measurements and drug domains. Next, please. So for the second task, which is to compare Taiwan's clinical guideline with the international ones. So in this table, we compare the first line recommendations between the guidelines, including the European Association of Urology, the National Comprehensive Cancer Network of the US, the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence of the UK, and the local guideline here in TMU from the TMU Taipei Cancer Center. So we found that our local guidelines share many similarities with international guidelines, even for the novel therapies like the EV plus B here, which is enfortumab vedotin plus pembrolizumab, and this is the therapy combining an antibody drug conjugate with a PD-1 immune checkpoint inhibitor to enhance the immune attack against cancer cells. So next, please. So my my presentation is quite short, and so in conclusion, the two validation results represent that a TeamView database, particularly for bladder cancer, is compliant with the RC data requirement and is suitable to be part of its global database. So thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Winnie. So I got a question. So since I was like very interested in GDE project running by Odyssey like last year, and TMU team are actually trying to be as a data partner, and it was about the cancer project. Is that right? And you found out the TMU's cancer database was very balanced and well qualified. Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's great. And you guys are thinking of joining the cancer project like this year and next year going on, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
actually, Dr. Phúc and also Natalie already conduct some part of it.
Okay. Thank you. Song,
you.
you have any? Yeah, thank you. Song, you have any question?
Yeah. Hi, Winnie. Thanks for the presentation. I think this presentation is a bit unique, a bit different from other studies conducted within Odyssey, because there is this element where you're looking at clinical guidelines as well, right? So I think your study itself, normally there is a literature review step in Odyssey studies where people review existing literature and identify what they want to do their research on. But I think what's interesting about your study is the fact that as part of the study, you guys actually compared how the clinical guidelines in Taiwan compare with other guidelines in Europe and other parts of the world. So I think this is very interesting. I do think we need more generation of these kind of evaluations within the community before we do anything with regards to actual studies, right? Because we want to make sure that what we are trying to do is not addressed in current literature. What we are trying to do is trying to address something that's not well addressed within the current existing literature or any evidence gaps there, right? So I think this is really unique. Thank you for sharing your findings. This is my first comment. My other comment is actually a question on the first part of your study, right? So you had this little plot with all the dots. Can you explain what, not this one, the one previously, Jiwon?
one?
Thanks, yeah. Can you explain what this means? So I didn't really follow. So what do these dots mean? And what does the y-axis and the x-axis mean?
Yeah, so sorry for the confusion on this. So so each dot represent a cancer type, which is on the notes in the gray area. So it's just like from the left to the right, start with the prostate, and then the second one is lung and respiratory tract, breast, head, neck. Yeah, and then the third one is skin cancer, for example, like that. And so as is the X acid is like just a dot, just different type of cancer. And on the y-axis is just like how like the percentage of that within that dot. So actually this one is mainly made by Dr. Phúc. I just been a part of this project. So this is what I understand.
Yeah, so maybe Phúc can help here. So the y-axis is the percentage of patients within TMU CRD that have the specific cancer records. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And I think this is within the total of like 3,000 cancer.
Got it.
Great.
No, that makes sense. So it's a distribution of cancers. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for sharing this, wonderful lecture. And then actually, our institution is participating in this project, but I did not know much about that. So I learned a lot from your presentation about this project. I cannot, believe that this many institutions are participating in this study until now. So was quite fascinating. And then just I have a question about the next slide, because Yonsei is located in the right upper corner. So what does it mean that TMU is located in the center of this plot? So it means that you have the quite balanced, data elements of it. What does it mean that if we are located within the right corner rather than left corner or center?
Sorry again, I talked too fast. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
let me explain.
really sorry about that.
okay.
So Yonsei is located within the right side of this
Yeah.
plot. So,
It's
what does
not-
it mean?
It's
So-
not like, it's not that the location. It's just the color
Okay,
of the dots.
Color. Okay. I think
Yeah, the color of the
Yonsei-
dots, as we
Yeah.
note down here,
Okay.
is
We can
so
see that,
that yeah.
that we are measurement
So it's-
dominates because we are dominant in measurement because our color is quite
That's all.
bright. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Okay, thanks for clarification. Wonderful.
Thanks.
Nicole?
Yeah, thank you. That was a really fascinating presentation. Thank you. Could you give a little bit more of an explanation on what the global data evaluation tool is and how that is applied?
I think this question, I think we need to ask Dr. Phúc to help me on that. He's more
Sure.
an expert on this. Thank you.
So sorry, Nicole, what is your question? Can you ask again?
Yeah, so you mentioned that there was a global data evaluation tool that was run to assess the data quality. Is that something different than the data quality dashboard? Is it a different application?
Yes, it's different because it is initiated by Asia, which is the host of the GD study, and she tailor a different package to screening across the database. If we can be competence is okay to participate in the analysis. So this starting from Winnie, this is a pre-analysis tools to see if we do have on the condition and we can have the good quality enough to participate in the analysis stage. Yep.
Yeah, so it's specific to the study question rather than the general quality of the database. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
She just
Okay.
screening the cancer information within the database.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Welcome.
I think we have very active discussion about Winnie's presentation. Oh, and also Moe has her question too. So Moe, is there anything you want to add on?
I want to know who initiated this study, because you said this is a global study, right?
Mhm.
Who did it originate from? Which organization?
From Asia Goja.
ASIA. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Asia. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it was a great presentation that we could get any updates from the global network study. Thank you. So we have Rosie for the last presentation. Whenever Rosie, you're ready, you can get started.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everyone. My
Hi.
name is Rosie. Yes, today I will present my poster. With the topic is predicting dementia risk, chronic kidney disease using the Taipei Medical University database. Please, next. Yes, the first I will present, we will start by sharing the background of this my study. Chronic kidney disease is increasingly recognized as an independent risk factor for dementia, and this happens through several pathways, including both vascular mechanism like vascular damage and non-vascular one, and which involves the buildup of urinate toxin and inflammatory processes. And interestingly, the occurrence of the both CKD and dementia together is more the common, and then that's the would be the expected the police by the chance, especially among aging population who have multiple comorbidities. And this study seeks to address a critical clinical question, and how can identify patients with a newly diagnosed CKD who are a risk of developing dementia within the next 5 years. And this is the focus of the research to the explore and predict the risk of dementia among the CKD patient over time. Please next. This is the methods of the study. The first for this study, we conduct a retrospective observational analysis using the OCD OMOP CDM database, which include database from the 3 hospitals at the Taipei Medical University, and we will focus on the 2 cohorts. The first with the CKD patient with the EGFR below the 60 or elevate UACR, and the second with the adults with the diagnosis with the dementia, and we predict the dementia rate in this patient. We use the 3 machine learning model, classical regression, ℏ-post, and random forest, and this model help us assess how we can predict the dementia onset based on the clinical and demographic factor, and we will evaluate the model performance using the AUC for the discrimination and calibration plots, and compare predict the versus observed risk. For the analysis, we use the OHDSI Studies or package to process the data, and the result are valuable as the interactive Sesni application, which make it easy to visualize and interpret our finding. Please next. And with the methods, look at the table 1 with the baseline characteristics of the population. We observe the baseline with the first dementia patient were significant older with a mean age of the 78.4 years compared to the 67.4 years for the with the CKD. And in terms of the gender distribution, higher proportion of the female was for the dementia group at the 62.3 compared to the 42.8 in the CKD group. And when it comes to the comorbidity burden, dementia patients have the lower score on both the diabetes comorbidity severities index with the 1.7 versus 3.7, and the and the traction index are 2.8 to 2.9 to 4.4, indicating that while they had the fewer comorbidities, their dementia diagnosis was still significant, impacting their health and I'm sorry. And finally, despite fewer comorbidity, dementia patient has the longest follow-up the previous among among over 1,400 days, one on average, and compared to the 1,000 day for the CKD patient, and with getting more attendees, more we are getting the more attendees, more monitoring for this diagnosis with the dementia. Please next. And this is the model evaluation of we study. The first with the figure 1 area under the curve, and you see rows of the 3 model, and with the 3 model, let's go random forest and S3 post, and how good the performance is disgusting between the CKD patient who will develop dementia and those who will not, and the AUC Ross curves at the substantially about the diagnosis, indicating that the model can accurately discriminate dementia risk, and the last goal and H3 box model performs similarly, while the random forest so the slightly less response the performance. And with the figure 3, either calibration cost of the 3 model is the LESCO and H-Box model, then demonstrate good calibration where the predicting the probability close follow the idea diagonal line, and this means their prediction will align with the actual dementia risk, which is the crucial for the clinical diagnostic making. However, the random forest shows some deviation from the ideal line, and the indication moderate acceleration. Please next. And discussion first, I want to present the model perform well in the discrimination between the CKD between who will want have the developed dementia. However, they will low the AUPRC due to the low incidence of the dementia in the CKD patient. And the second, these models are useful for the clinical purpose, and particularly in risk stratification and early detection of the high-risk patient. And lastly, the next step will be to optimize the decision threshold and integrate additional clinical marker and improve the predictive accuracy. Please next. Yes, and this is the reference. I and Dr. Fook will combine the poster. Thanks for your listening. I'm sorry because today my health is not good. I have very cold. Yes, and the whole night I covered so much.
Thank you, Rosie. Hope you get well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I got a few questions from your presentation. You said the outcomes were the CK patients and the adults with the dementia, and I know like there's diverse dementia, like a cardiovascular dementia. There's an Alzheimer and like so on. Like, is there any specific dementia that you guys are targeted on?
Actually, yeah, let me answer the question. So because I saw serious stuff. Actually, for this study, I also defined the dementia for overall dementia, Alzheimer, and for the cardiovascular dementia. But in this presentation, in this poster, there's only the overall dementia showing the result here. But like I put them all in the Shiny apps. But if you're interested on like looking at this study, I can share that to you.
Okay. So you added on every dementia patients
Yeah,
with the
but when
CKD.
they are, as you know that the Alzheimer dementia, they account for 80% of the dementia. And for the vascular dementia, when I do the cohort count, it's very small number. So
Yeah.
I need more strategy to improve the number to do the validation.
Yeah. Maybe that's why the random forest calibration was like overestimated, like here.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I wonder why. Yeah. Thank you, Folk. Is there any other people who has any question from the presentation by Rosie and Folk? No? Okay. Thank you, Folk, Winnie, and Rosie for your presentation. It was great, and it kind of gives us a real like oh, hi, Cynthia. You have yeah, okay. You
I
have
just
any
wanted to know just how easy was it to use the Hades packages? How steep was the learning curve?
The Hades, they have the package called patient level prediction.
Right.
And for the patient prediction, we put on the target cohort, the covariates, and they also customize for our option. And then they provide us on those kind of the result. So it's like a sample, like we put on the information from the target cohort, they do the processing, hence to generate, and the OHDSI team, they made the BLB quite comprehensive. And they will provide like the detailed information of the AUC calibration plot, and also the feature importance ranking, for example. And I also combine it in the strategist package. So the strategist package, they provide us the comprehensive analysis from the input until the presentation in the Shiny apps also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Cynthia. Long time no see. Anyway, it was really fascinating studies and the presentation. Thank you, guys. And if there's any updates of your study, please bring them to the APAC symposium this year, so we can have any we can follow up your studies. So next is Nicole is gonna give us a quick proposing the 2026 APAC studies. She's gonna share any initiatives and other perspectives or anything. Okay, so I will toss the floor to Nicole.
Great, thanks, Jiwon. So we have only got 10 minutes or so to talk through this. So I imagine we'll have a follow-up meeting to talk more about the details of a potential OHDSI APAC study that we might be able to perform this year. as a community effort. For those of you online, you will know that this has been one of the things that OHDSI APAC has done over the last, I'd say, 3 years now, where we've worked together towards an OHDSI APAC study. So last year we had the China studies. The year before that we had the SOS challenge, the fluoroquinolone study, and aortic aneurysm dissection. And before that, we looked at second-line combination diabetes medicines, I think, as a follow-up to the, oh no, it was hypertension, I'm sorry, the hypertension study, as a follow-up to the LEGEND hypertension specifically in APAC. So we've had a history of doing this sort of thing. And as you've seen today, there are quite a lot of studies. And for those of you that were able to make it to the OHDSI Symposium last year, the APAC Symposium, we've got a lot of studies that have been going on across the APAC region. But we haven't really got a lot of examples where we've worked together to do a network study, or where we've, led an international global study as well. So that might be something we can work together on this year. So when we're doing studies, we obviously have these classical OHDSI questions. So clinical characterization, which we saw today with Fuchs' presentation about the anti-diabetes medicines in patients with CKD. I'm looking at my notes. We looked at that in heart failure as well. And what the other ones? Probably utilization studies against the guidelines in bladder cancer as well. So clinical characterization questions. Population level effect estimation, that's the approach we took when we looked at the fluoroquinolone study and when we looked at the diabetes study as well. And then we've just heard a nice presentation on predicting dementia in patients as well. So these are some of the examples of questions we can ask. One of the clinical characterization studies we've also done in APAC, and this was quite some time ago, so but it was a very kind of impactful study to do across the APAC region, and we just simply looked at the use of pediatric medicines across the different countries. And what was really interesting here is we just looked at the ATC class levels and said, well, what are the rates of dispensing across the different classes of the ATC, categorizations across the different countries? And it became very clear that there were things that were different, things that were the same, and some things that really reflected the differences in the prescribing guidelines in the local context. So things like mucolytics, so, cough, which is, Rosie had a cough today. So mucolytics is very different in the different countries. So in Australia, we can't get them on prescription, and the same in Hong Kong, I think. So where the other countries use quite a number of mucolytics. And there were lots of differences in antibiotic use and the types of antibiotics that were being used across the country in children. So that was a really nice study to really highlight differences in prescribing patterns, and we could really delve into whether or not those differences were due to prescribing practices or, just due to formulation or regulatory constraints, that sort of thing, and where it may be good practice or bad practice. So when I was thinking about putting this slide deck together, I really started to think about, well, what are the considerations for deciding on a study? Like, what study should we do and why would we do it? And this is a piece of work that's I've just been thinking about, so I'd really like people's input into this. But some of the things that I was considering were things like, is it the question we're asking a really important question for a policy or for a decision? And that could be for decision makers like governments or payers, people who fund medicines, or the regulators, or the health system in general. So is the question that we're answering likely to change practice? So will there be a policy relevant action if we do this study? There might be a public health impact if we do a particular study. And do we want to see practice change? Do we want to highlight some, something that's happening in the public health system that if we were to change it, we would make a big impact? So is that a budget impact or a population exposure impact because a certain group of patients are being highly prescribed an ineffective medicine or not prescribed an effective medicine? And we saw that when we were looking at the renal protective medicines in patients with diabetes. There's an opportunity there to increase the rates of use of renal protective medicines in patients with cardiovascular disease and diabetes. So there could be a public health impact as well. But for us, I think that, a regional relevance is also something that we should consider when thinking about what study would be really impactful for the APAC region. So why does the question actually matter specifically to APAC? And there are a couple of different reasons why. It could be that that particular medicine is understudied globally, but it's used very widely in the APAC region. It could be that we have different prescribing patterns compared to Europe or the US. And that could be because of genetic differences, cultural differences, healthcare system differences, and all of those things may impact on the medication's safety and effectiveness. So that could be a really important reason why we choose a particular study. So these were some of the things I was thinking about in terms of the study. And then I was thinking, well, are the other considerations is that the results would be actionable, right? What would we do if we find a difference, if it's suboptimal use or variation? What does that mean and who's going to do something about it? Is that information important to change practice? Is it methodologically suitable? Can it be answered robustly with the tools we have or with the data we have in terms of the data quality? And that's why I asked the question about the global data evaluation tool. I think that's a really important thing for us to consider in APAC as well. And of course, is it feasible? Can we get APAC studies APAC data sets included in these studies? So there were a couple of things I was thinking about, but most importantly, I think we need to consider this question. Does the conduct of this study actually leave our network stronger than it was before? So that's something I think we really need to consider when we're doing these studies. We're not just doing them for a reason. We really want to make our network stronger, and that strong criteria could be we get more data sets included in studies, upskilled enough to participate in studies. We upskill our participants in terms of the methodological rigor and their ability to perform their own studies, to lead their own studies. Participating in a study helps you to understand how it all works so you can then lead a study. So these were all the sorts of things I was starting to think about and could help us to come up with a topic. Now I'm going to run out of time to actually present some of the topics, but I'll just leave this really quick example with you, and then we can come back and perhaps have another discussion about this, ㍍so set up another time. But there has been this issue of valproate use in pregnancy. So valproate is an anti-epileptic medicine, and there have been some changes in regulations about the use in women of childbearing potential. So there's been, changes in use in women. So the use in the European countries has declined, the use of valproate, and they prefer to use other medicines. And this was a Darwin EU study that showed the decline in valproate. The Darwin study also showed that there was underutilization of hormonal contraception in patients who were taking valproate but were of childbearing age. So again, that sort of highlights the public health issue. And the countries down in this paper here found that there has been an increased use of valproate in the Asian countries, which is potentially an issue that we could delve into. There's also been very recently safety alerts about the use in men or partners of women of childbearing ages and who use valproate. So there's also been some very recent changes in guidelines for the use of valproate in men as well. So that's something we could look at across the APAC region, the use of valproate in men and women, and the use of contraception in those groups as well. So I'm just going to leave it at that. That's one study. There are other ideas, and if we had time, we could talk about a few more ideas, but we don't. So I'll leave that to digest, and we can come back and have another meeting about that, and perhaps propose a framework for thinking about studies. So thanks, Jiwon.
I think another one, Nicole, might be the three that Darwin EMA released last year, right? The use of antibiotics that was changed based on a Darwin study as well.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe we could do that one over here too, because if they found risk over there and it caused the EMA to change the treatment patterns, right? Maybe the same thing should be considered over here. Right.
Absolutely.
Well, when I say over here, I mean in Asia Pacific, not me in California, right? But
Correct.
But it might be something we should consider, right? And
That's
it would be impactful that I think then the different countries can actually, if you guys know government regulatory agencies, take it back to them and say, look what we've done, right? So it's above and beyond just the network research, but it's also impact from a regulatory perspective.
Correct. Yeah. And I think in terms of feasibility, some of these studies, we can leverage the work that has already been done across OHDSI in Darwin EU and replicate code, and that sort of helps with the feasibility aspect as well. So yeah, that's a great idea, Moe.
And then my other idea is with OHDSI Africa as well. So instead of just the Asia Pacific continent, but let's include the Africa continent as well, right?
Why not?
Because I think
Why not?
both communities are still new at this, so it would be good to get more activity on non-Western data.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Totally
Nicole,
agree.
some really great ideas there. You know, a lot of drugs used in children were marketed before the pediatric rule at the FDA. So there's actually not a lot of, there are probably a lot of medicines out there where it's actually not been labeled for children's use. The dosage is not been really tested in formal clinical trials. So if you have good data on the doses that are administered, maybe it'd be useful to collect that and, I don't know, somehow inform what are the dosage that would be you know, useful or appropriate in children.
One of the things,
I would want to keep it simpler because dosage is hard to collect everywhere.
Okay.
So I think if we want to do a study, we should keep it to simpler attributes that most of us has. Right. Again, even dosage in the US is hard to collect.
Okay.
That's just my personal opinion. Go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah. No, I was going to say it's a great idea, but I think that might be a longer term study. One of the investigators in my team is doing a large language model across the product information of medicines in children and looking at the dosing information, like what's kind of in the product information and, you know, the information. So if we start there and say, what do we know, and is it used in children? If it is used in children, is there recommendations for doses, and then do the dosing study after that? I think that's a really good question, but
That's
I think we need to do the first couple of steps to start
that's
with.
really interesting. You know, even seeing the gaps in the labels. Thanks. Wonderful.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole and Cynthia and Muli, for your discussion. And Nicole, your perspective really resonated a lot of things here, because in terms of the regional relevance, like the APAC studies has been very separated and distributed, but like with doing the study like this, I think it will like really bring us to the like core question, like why does this question matter to specifically in APAC? Like I really want to know that. Yeah, that's a really good question, and thank you for bringing it out for us. And so overall theme of the APAC symposium was the making OHDSI APAC more researchable. So I think this question can bring us to the APAC more researchable. So yeah. Please contact me if you want to like this. If you need more time for the discussion of the APAC study. I'm very happy and very open to manage setting another community call for the APAC study. Thank you, Nicole. And if this is the case, I think I will see you guys all in the next month's community call. Thank you for joining. We are like 5 minutes already. Wonderful. So yeah, thank you guys and have a great day, and see you guys next month. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
See you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.